You're now listening to All Hogs Sports, covering all Arkansas Razorback sports, such as football, basketball, baseball, and much more. Now, here's your host for today's show, Sam Stimson.
Now, this past Saturday, Arkansas picked up another AP Top 25 win at home at Bud Walton Arena. Arkansas defeating Kentucky 75-73. Kentucky ranked number 6 in the AP poll. Arkansas was ranked number 18th at the time. This moves Arkansas to a 23-6 record, which will have them around a 4 or 5 seed as of right now, and then a 12-4 conference record, which has them as the 2nd seed in the SEC tournament as of right now. Now, the huge thing that Arkansas was able to do to beat Kentucky is really let JD cook. 13 out of 26 from the floor, 30 points. JD Notae was going insane. He had 8 assists as well. The way that JD has recently played has really excelled the Hogs' offense to being stable. I think it will struggle for Arkansas to really have an elite offense just given the team, and that's just how it is right now. But JD has really had a stable offense. The last few years at Arkansas last season and then at Jacksonville before that, he really was more of a 2-guard. That's always been his natural ability to play, and I wouldn't be shocked if in his future professional career he plays more of a 2-spot. But he's really been able to see the point guard, role and take advantage of that, given that nobody from Arkansas has really stepped up and taken that. So JD has taken that, and it feels like as he's learning how to play this one spot every single week, JD Notae is just playing better and better and better. The one play that I think really shows how JD has gotten so much better is the dunk. And it's his first dunk of the season. JD doesn't really dunk that often. He's, 6'1", 6'2", player. He's got good hops, but he doesn't dunk in game that often. If you just look at the way that he sees the floor and sees that lane, I thought he was going to go for a contested layup there, but then for him to see the dunk, the opportunity there, is something that an elite point guard has seen. It's time that we seriously talk about JD Notae as an All-American and National Player of the Year type player. 19.1 points per game, 4.3 rebounds, 3.6 assists per game, shooting 42.4%. Look at his last 5 games, 30, 22, 13, 17, 12. Against those teams that are AP ranked, against Kentucky, he had 30. Against Tennessee, he had 13. Against Auburn, number 1 at the time, he had 28. And then Arkansas's other game against an AP team, LSU, he had 19. JD Notae has played absolutely insanely well against those top-ranked teams, and his value to this Arkansas team is really undervalued. The way that he's been able to affect games and, open up things on the offensive side has been huge. Going along with JD is obviously Jalen Williams, recording another double-double here, 16 points with 12 rebounds. He went to the free throw line a good amount of times, got good opportunities there. He wasn't in foul trouble, but there was times where he was getting a little winded. One of the players said after the game, actually, that he was throwing up at halftime, was feeling sick. So Kamani Johnson did sub in 8 minutes for him. And, when you see a guy like Kamani Johnson, the way he plays is awesome. It's really versatile to this team. The 2 offensive rebounds are tied for the most on the team, but if you look at the times where he subbed in, especially one of those offensive rebounds, they are just so key into turning games around, because when you get an offensive rebound, you're taking away a possession from the other team and giving it back to yourself. And the game is only decided by 2 points. Every single rebound matters. Arkansas did get out-rebounded by 7, but Jalen, he was exceptional on the boards. Kamani was good on the boards in his time recorded. Amude as well. Amude had some red-hot three-pointers, 3 out of 5. He had 3 out of 5 Arkansas's threes. 13 points as well. He's been able to heat up really well last few games, and then really bringing, stretching the floor, making things easier for Arkansas shooting and just overall spacing and such. Nice games additionally from other players. Wade recording 5 points, Tony with 4, Davis from 5. Likes came into the game and had no points, but he did have an assist. He got 2 fouls in a quick amount of time, so he really didn't see that much points. But, everybody who played in this game, the starting 5, and then the 3 guys who come off the bench, and everybody knows who those guys are at this point, really contributed well in this game. Now, some things that Kentucky gave Arkansas problems, this is obviously on the boards. Their big man, Oscar, was exceptionally well, 30 points and 18 rebounds. He was 13 out of 21 from the floor. Going into this, I didn't have time to get that episode out last week, but I would have talked about how good he was. He's averaging 17 points per game in the season, 15 rebounds. I don't think I've seen that out of a college player in a really long time. Something that does get frustrating for Arkansas, though, is the lane violations that weren't being called. There was a lot of times where Oscar was in the lane for more than 3 seconds and wasn't moving at all. It just wasn't being called. You could tell by the end of the game, though, that I felt like he wasn't in the lane as much because there was probably like a verbal warning or something given out. Keon Brooks Jr. put up 14 for the Wildcats. Ty Washington and Xavier Wheeler, both of those guys were injured, so they came off the bench. Ty had 10, and then Wheeler had 14. Ty only shot 3 out of 12 from the floor. He's been really good for the Wildcats, but it's been banged up at times this season, so that's why he came off the bench. Huge, though, for Arkansas was stopping arguably Kentucky's best shooter, Kellen Grady. You can look back at his time at Davidson, red hot. He's always been able to get the 3-ball going. For Kentucky this season, he shoots 43.7% from 3, and for Arkansas to only limit him to that 1 3-pointer, and that's it, was huge. A lot of times he was just standing around the baseline, which made it easier for Arkansas, but some nice defense played on him by some guys like Tony and Amude, really exceptional overall. The main thing that Arkansas did here is they played their style of basketball, playing their type of defense, and was able to shoot well enough to win this game as well. The refs really turned it into a very physical game, which is why the lead kept changing and such, because at times it felt like Kentucky was getting all the rebounds, couldn't, over the back calls were just being ignored, loose ball fouls were being called at different times. So when a game of runs happens like basketball, and you have something like refs that really impact the game, it does change the trajectory of it. I'm not necessarily complaining about the refs, saying, Arkansas refs favored them, didn't like them, or whatever. I'm just saying as a whole, this officiating crew was awful. It was a very rough game, and there was a certain time at the game, especially near the end of the first half, that it felt like the refs had just taken over the game, and it was hard to watch at that time. Main thing for Arkansas, though, sitting around a 4-seed line after this one. This is another Q1 victory. Arkansas has done fantastic at home this season. I would put Bud Walton up against any other place in the nation for how hard it is to play it. Yeah, so Hogs rolling over Kentucky, though. Huge win there. Hard to underestimate how that will affect Arkansas' seeding, NCAA tournament, SEC tournament, and such. Good win for Arkansas there, though. Going 14 out of 17 from the line was also huge. Now, I didn't have a chance to recap the Florida game, so I will be doing that in today's episode, and then I'll be previewing the LSU game on a show that ends up dropping either Tuesday or Wednesday night. You can find that on my Twitter, though, at AllHogSportsPod. Go to the pin tweet, and I usually have my schedule up there. Now, against Florida, Arkansas won 82-74. That defense that Arkansas is well known for really didn't show out as good as it has in other games. Florida ended up shooting 44.8% from the floor and then 32% from 3. Something in this game that happened early on from 3 is Arkansas was leaving some guys open, playing more of a zone type defense, and Florida took advantage of that and made a lot of threes. Appleby, Fleming Jr., and a couple other guys were sinking shots in, and something Arkansas actually didn't do against Kentucky. When Arkansas played Kentucky, they played really strict man-to-man defense because they had to do that for a lot of three-point shooters. For a team that's good at three-point shooting, that's what you have to do, and they did that on guys like Grady, Brooks, Ty. That was important for the Arkansas to get the win in that situation. So they did that, but didn't do this in the Florida game, so Florida, I think, shot a little bit better based off of that. And, make adjustments and everything goes good. Arkansas did out-rebound the Gators, though, by 8 in this one. For Arkansas, JD Notae, he was doing his work, man, as normal, 22 points. Devo Davis posted the most amount of points he's had since the Oklahoma loss. He had 19 points, was crazy efficient, 7 out of 10 from the floor, 3 out of 4 from the free throw line. And the thing with Devo is he's really gone back to his old style on offense, coming off the bench and such, if he's really able to not turn over the ball, keep his handles well, and good defense, I think the main thing is he'll get that playing time, and his defense will get him 20-plus minutes per game based off of other guys subbing out to games. He's really playing right now probably like 5th most minutes on the team. So Devo's been huge, though, for this Arkansas team within this run, even off the bench. You've got to have consistent guys off the bench like Devo. Likes has been playing a lot better, too. He's been limiting turnovers, having good assists. The scoring really hasn't been there, but he's been more of a, what I would call truer point guard than he has earlier this season. Kamani Johnson off the bench additionally. In this one, Jalen Williams, another double-double, just like clockwork. 15 points and 10 rebounds in this one. And then Arkansas also double-digit scores, Tony and Mude. Arkansas getting 5 double-digit scores is really nice to see. Balanced scoring attack goes really far into March Madness, especially on the road and at neutral sites. Now, something again happened for Arkansas as the big man on the other team had a huge performance. Castleton, 29 points. He did shoot 9 free throws that counted towards points in that one. 9 out of 10 on the charity stripe. And 6 rebounds. He really wasn't as dominant as the paint as we've seen other big guys against Arkansas. But something that Arkansas has been able to do this season is even if big guys like Castleton, Kessler, Oscar go off against Arkansas, they found other ways to win, and I really think it starts with JD Notae. Game against Florida, Castleton had 29, JD had 22. Against Kessler and Auburn, JD put up a solid 28 points. Against Oscar in Kentucky, JD had 30 points. So his level of scoring ability has kept Arkansas in a lot of games and really been able to control the tempo and keep Arkansas in games, especially when the other team starts making a comeback. And this one, Florida honestly got to off a really hot start from 3, and then Arkansas made adjustments and was able to guard that line a lot better than they have earlier this season. The main thing with this one, though, it's another Quadrant 1 victory for Arkansas. Going against the road and getting a win over a bubble team is it's nice, and that's what Arkansas is expected to do. It's kind of one of those things where a win really won't shoot you up in the metrics unless you blow them out or lose by a lot. They'll just kind of keep you the same. Arkansas getting a win here was nice, though. Now, talking more on where Arkansas currently sits within SEC play, conference play, and such. So, like I said, 23-6. That's easily locked for the NCAA tournament no matter what happens now. Now, main thing Arkansas has to look forward to is a home game against LSU on Wednesday and then a road game against Knoxville. Those are not easy games at all. Both of those games will likely be Quadrant 1 games. And at Tennessee does scare me a lot because of, they did play us good at home, even though Arkansas ended up kind of going on a run at the end to get a double-digit victory. And that defense for Tennessee is extremely good. But Arkansas is sitting at a 2 seed right now and then projected as a 4 or 5 seed. If that doesn't make sense, I think Arkansas is, 4 or 5 seed does seem right. And it can be frustrating because you go, okay, 14 out of the last 15, 1-point loss to Alabama. This team has beaten Tennessee, Kentucky, Auburn, and LSU in that stretch. But then you look back at the Hofstra loss, the Oklahoma blowout, the Vanderbilt loss. Those teams are all not going to the tournament. Mississippi State, same thing there. I mean, Arkansas has 5 losses to non-tournament teams, and some of those are really ugly losses in terms of the score and our performance. And, yeah, certainly recency bias is going to help out Arkansas more there, but those will hurt them. If you take some of those games back, or just a few of them, I mean, Arkansas could easily be sitting on a 2 or 3 seed line right now, which is why I think Arkansas is seeded a little bit lower than they're actually playing, I don't think Arkansas is playing like a 4 or 5 seed right now. I think you can make the argument they're playing as a high 3 seed, 2 seed, somewhere around that range of, teams ranked around 6 to 12 is where I'd put Arkansas right now against other NCAA tournament teams. But again, those losses did hurt Arkansas a lot. I really like Arkansas's chances, though, to move up into a 3 seed given that they're able to win the SEC tournament, possibly beat at Tennessee. That'll be a really good game because I think it's Arkansas's toughest road game of the season. playing at Knoxville, and it's the last game of the season. And Arkansas should have everybody healthy